So this first question is brought to you by my newsletter. It's Youth Ministry Roundup newsletter. Has tons of resource in it, all kinds of freebies you can get that I send out. So if you're interested, it has, like I said, I do think articles on trends and culture, youth ministry articles, articles not just about youth ministry, but for the youth pastor to kind of help and assist with your journey, both in your soul, but also in your skills. So we want to help you there. So we give you some articles for that. It has job postings I put in there, what I'm reading, what I'm listening to. There's free stuffs. I'll put in my playlist sometimes, my youth group, youth room playlist that I have going on. And so it's really super valuable. So I'm going to encourage you, jump in there, try it out for yourself. There'll be a link down below, and you get a freebie. So, get excited, right? That's, everybody likes free stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into the first question. First question is, Paul, what texting apps do you use with your students? And this is something I see quite a bit across the board of, well, Paul, what kind of apps? I want to send group texts, to my students. What do you use? Well, I'm going to share with you just a few things. I'm going to share what would I say is the bigger platforms, and then I'm going to show you some smaller apps that you can use. And something, and I'll show you what I use with my kids, right? So because there's texting services and there's apps, and it really just determines, you have to decide how you want to communicate with your students. Is it just something you want, to send out a message? Does it have to be super immediate into their, text, into their phones? Those kind of things, right? So you can make groups and all those kind of things. So let's go ahead and just show you I want to show you some of the bigger plans. I think what we do is when we Google things like youth group or church texting plans, things like that, a lot of the ones that I see are just mass, right? They have, it's for these massive groups, and most of the youth groups I know are not massive groups, right? We're talking about like hundreds of people. Most of the youth pastors I know do not pastor groups with 100 or so people. I want to show you this here. So here's the first one. When I look at this, I just Googled and said, hey, here's here, what do we have? Well, there's Clearstream, and I'm only going to show you the prices here because you can see, I think that's going to be for a lot of churches, it's going to be the determining price. It's going to be the determining factor is the price. And so this operates, you can see, on a credit basis. And so for the first 100 credits for Clearstream, you're going to get 100 credits, and it works out as 1 credit per text. And so you have unlimited keywords, local 10-digit numbers, 0 sub-accounts, and all other features included. Now, as you see, then it moves up to $29 a month, and that's $1,200. I don't know how much you text your kids, right? You have to determine, well, I'm going to send X amount of texts per month. So it's going to be, so if I have 15 kids, I'm going to text them once a week. So that's 60 texts. So you could get by on the free. If you wanted to do free and you say, I'm going to send 1 text a month or 1 text a week, then you're covered there. If you said, I want to send 25. Let's say you do 25 and you have a group of 25 and you want to send 1 text a week just to send a devotion, or you say, well, I'm going to kind of do a one text, and it's going to be like a little newsletter type of a thing, then you can use something like this and get away with that if you have about 25 students or less. Now, if you're super busy church, then it's going to be a different story, but free might work for you. But as you can see, the price goes up for $30 and say, well, I want to, text my kids twice a week or whatever it may be. And let's be really honest. I don't know if I can only speak for me, but I don't know if my students want to hear from me more than, as far as in their texts, more than, twice a week. So unless it's important or unless I'm just dropping an encouragement. And so I don't know. That's just me. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at Breeze. And Breeze is a lot of these operate on a credit basis. This is just a straight $72 a month, and then it's 2.9% plus 30 cents per text. And so you can see there that for $72 a month, you're going to get unlimited people, unlimited, everything, But for this type of tech, because I've seen this suggested, and if you have a budget to do that, and you have a big enough group that's going to, be able to, you're going to be able to facilitate that. You send out that many texts or that many things. Well, then this might be a plan for you. But I don't see too many small youth groups that can be able to use a plan like this, because they're not going to text that much. And once again, my students don't want to hear from me that much. So $72 a month is going to be a bite out of the budget. But once again, it just depends on how much you text your kids. If you say I'm texting them 5 times a week and I'm having to text them all the time, okay, I think that's a bit much, but you do you. That's what I'm saying. Simple texting. Simple texting. Now, this is a little bit better as far as price goes. And you get, once again, this is 500 credits and 5.5 cents per additional credit. You can pay monthly, pay annually, but you're going to do $29 a month. You're getting 500 credits. So once again, you're going to get, all these, things here. Once again, I don't know how much you use or how much you will use. You get unlimited contacts and so forth. So once again, it really is about price. For me, I don't need a lot of these things. If you have I'd say this probably, for a mid-size type of youth group, maybe if you're running 50 to 75 students, something like that, and you're having to text, parents, and once again, it's not just about texting kids. It is about texting parents. So yes, you may send a text to kids once per week. You may send a text to parents once a week. So you're sending, 2 texts, 25, if you have a youth group of 25, so that's 50 texts a week, right? We can't forget that you're going to and then if you have small groups, and then if you have those things, well, then yes, it's going to add up. If you have the budget for it and you want to be able to do that, then I say go all guns in. In the beginning, my head was just thinking students, but now you start to think, well, yeah, Paul, I have, different groups I need to text every week. Well, then this can be something for you. Band. And Band is an app, and this is in the App Store here. Could not find a desktop version to look at, so this is just something I looked up here. This is this seems to be pretty. This is for your phone. So if you want something a little, once again, some of these are fairly are fairly advanced in some ways, and it has a lot of tools that you may or may not be interested in. So let me show you some of the iPhone apps here that I looked at. So there's an app called, this is just a simple search. It's a group texting, and I have downloaded each of these and put my students in. I just put like 3 names in, something like that, and I only have, like I said, I only have a group of 6 or 7. So for me, I don't text them a whole bunch, but I'll show you what I do use with them to be able to communicate with them. And so then you have the group text, because there's texting services and then there's just apps you can use. So this here is an actual texting group app. And for this, I've downloaded, and it's super easy. This is, I just look for ease of use. I want to just be able to type my message, do the thing, and send it out there. So for me, group text worked out really well. I didn't mind that the ease of it. Its setup is super simple, and so that's a pretty good app. Let me show you another one here. There's one called SendHype. Once again, downloaded it, put some names in it. Did not send a text yet. And by the way, for these, at least for the group text one, they recommend you turn off your iMessage, because otherwise you're going to get this, I believe, if I read it right, that you get basically that it gets, it's a blast where then all the names are in there. So in order to be able to send messages individually, you have to turn off your iMessage. And this may be true of all these apps, that you have to turn off your iMessage to be able to use it. And then you have to remember to turn your iMessage back on. But SendHype, once again, was easy to set up. Not a lot of bells and whistles. It's kind of like what I just wanted to do. These are free. Both the group text and the SendHype was free. And then there's one other one called Hit 'em Up. And Hit 'em Up I liked because it had a really good tutorial. It had a good tutorial video, just right there in the app that they watched. You had a good tutorial. It's got support, does all the FAQs. And so for me, something like this, it didn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but it did have a little bit more color, maybe a little bit more, maybe it did have bells and whistles. It did have some noises and some color to it and things like that, where the other ones were pretty straight. But then again, I mean, how much do you need, right? That's the question you have to ask as a youth worker. Is you have to say, how much do I actually need, right? Let me show you what I use. Those are the apps there. Now I'll show you what I use. Now I use GroupMe, and so GroupMe is just a message. It's just like a message board. And so for me, I'll just kind of show you what I have. This is my feed, and it is just a little something here. It's got that's what it looks like. Oop, go crazy. That's what it looks like. Give them the songs for tonight. Up here, you can see you can do polls in it, and then a little hey, there, happy Wednesday, a little happy Wednesday to you. And so that's kind of my feed there. And then if you want to do pics, of course, you can just drop your pics in there. You can see you got camera, photo album, documents if you need to do that. And then it has a location, which I don't use a ton of that. I mean, I'm sure it's fine for something, but I don't use it. Of course, you got to have your gifts, and yes, they're gifts. Don't give me any. Don't leave. That's fine. If you think they're GIFs, it's perfectly okay. No judgment here. Only a little bit, okay? Just a little bit of judgment. All right. So you have your gifts there, and then you have polls, and so you can do polls there. And so that's where, you saw there, I would say, hey, are you going to the event? Yes or no? And they can chime in with what they want to do. Hopefully they do want to go to the event. It's going to be a fun event. We're going to a little place called Shindigs. But yeah, those are the texting apps. If you have any questions about the apps, once again, I'm not an expert on this, but I do like to fiddle around with things. I like to try things out. And if it is something that you have about any of these apps, once again, all the apps were free. There's the I'll put all the links down below, at least for the desktop versions. I'll put links down to those below. But if you have any questions about the texting apps, anything like that, I'll try to help. And maybe you just need some help with some basic stuff. If I can help, I will, and I'll do my best. So, but those are texting. Those are the texting apps. Hopefully you can find something that is useful for you.